Hello, everyone. Here is the Thursday edition of Severe Thunderstorm Outlooks. I'm meteorologist Ted Keller. Still a lot of active areas. This one today in the Central Plains is probably the last time we'll have this type of risk for a while, at least in the Central Plains. It's all shifting north again, but you can see we have a level 1, which is the marginal risk, but covers a lot of ground. And then we have that level 2 there in Kansas, Oklahoma, parts of northwest Arkansas, southwest Missouri, even down into the Texas Panhandle. Take a closer look at the risk here area. You can see Wichita, Lamar, and Springfield over in Colorado, Amarillo and Lubbock in Texas, Woodward, Oklahoma City, yeah, we'll put you in the slight risk, Tulsa, and Springfield, Fayetteville, and most of northwest Arkansas, all in that level 2 out of 5 risk. Well, how does the specific severe threat break down? Here's the tornado risk for today. Hot off the presses from the SPC's morning outlook. They did back off on the intensity a little bit. Now, yesterday this was inching a little bit more into southwest Missouri. Today it stops just short of there. So you can see the level of 5% risk basically covers all of southern Kansas, Dodge City, Wichita, all the areas there along the southern counties, and then the northern county or two of Oklahoma is also included. And it's a 5% risk. That means there's a 5% chance of any strength of tornado within 25 miles of a point. And then that hatched area is a different animal too. That is SPC's indicator for intensity of severe storms. So this is really telling you that, first of all, if they bothered to indicate it, that means that there is a chance of a tornado that actually can be rated, because there is a rating for, yeah, we saw a tornado, but we just can't assign any intensity value to it. This one, it's heavily weighed toward EF0, EF1, but there's about a 1 in 5 chance of an EF2 or greater, and that heavily weighs toward EF2, obviously. So that's that area, and that stops right on the Kansas-Missouri border, really. And that has not moved, but there are some indicators that still want to put that 5% risk a little bit more into southwest Missouri. But let's go back to the wind for a second. So we'll look at the wind risk. 30% chance of a severe wind gust 59 miles per hour or greater, and that's in the red area. 30% chance of that within 25 miles. Hail is a lesser threat. It rates at about 15% in that same slight risk area, except it does not go over into southwest Missouri. And folks that are watching this in southwest Missouri, northwest Arkansas, I just posted a separate Facebook post on that in a little more detail. Now, CSU does show a 5% risk that starts in western Missouri and goes all the way up to Cheyenne, Wyoming. And they put the greatest 5% risk right along that Oklahoma and Kansas border. So that's very much in keeping with what SPC has issued. Hail and wind risk about the same, except they emphasize the wind a little bit more. And I do think the wind will be the greater of the risks for all of the three types with this setup. NATOcast for today does have that 5% risk more solidly over southwest Missouri. So we'll watch how this develops today. All indications are that the main line of thunderstorms that could cause any problems will probably roll through Kansas about 3 o'clock or so, approach southwest Missouri about 5, 6 o'clock or so, and then keep on moving after that. And there might be some renegade storms behind that line for later on tonight. We'll just have to see how that develops. The severe storm risk for Friday does include a large marginal risk that runs from Montana through Rapid City, through eastern Colorado, curves back and includes southern Missouri, northern Arkansas, and all the way over to Kentucky, parts of Indiana and Tennessee as well. So the reason that this is important is because just by the way this is laid out shows you that tonight's activity that I just talked about is not ushering in a cold front, at least not right away. That's why the thunderstorms could keep crackling into the overnight hours tonight and may reinvent themselves in this area tomorrow. And there's certainly room for a slight risk upgrade. And if I were to do that, I would do it from, let's say, southwest Missouri eastward over into Illinois, Indiana, and Kentucky. So that's just my take on that tomorrow, Friday. If we take a look at CSU's, Colorado State Universities, they still put a little bit of a tornado risk there, starting around Rolla and Mountain Home, Arkansas, and then right up and along the Ohio River Valley. The hail risk is really out west, and the wind risk is almost nominal at this point. Not much to talk about that. Maybe a little bit there in northern northern Virginia. Then we go to Saturday. The severe thunderstorm risk, like I said, starts to shift northward now and stays there, as you will see in the upcoming slides. But slight risk, level 2, is in mostly North Dakota and Montana, with a small part of South Dakota included in that. A little bit of marginal risk there around St. Louis, all the way down to Charlotte and Charleston. And then we have Saturday is CSU outlook, puts the tornado risk at 5% in North Dakota. Kind of a significant development there, but really backing off on hail and wind. There are some 15% areas, but not a lot of them, and nothing above that. Then on Sunday, SPC has outlined a 15% chance of any severe weather there. As you can see, Bismarck not quite included, but Grand Forks, Fargo, Jamestown, and those areas of central and eastern North Dakota are. And there's that outlook on the right, and here's CSU's look on the left. So they do mention a little bit of coastal activity along the Carolinas on Sunday, and they extend the severe weather 15% risk over into Wisconsin, which is typical. Usually that's a little larger than what SPC ends up plotting. On Monday, this stays in a very tight area, but shifts east. So then Bemidji and Hibbing, Minnesota, Duluth, Minneapolis, all included in this slight risk of severe weather, 15% on Monday. CSU just has a larger area of it and does extend it on down either a weak front or a dry line into Nebraska. So a lot of more area covered. And the Great Lakes states are going to start getting more and more of this as we keep looking at subsequent outlooks here. So you look at Tuesday, and it's pretty much centered on the Great Lakes states, Michigan and Wisconsin, the main two states involved. Wednesday is still pretty much the same, except maybe a little more to the east. So really shifting north. Here's the supercell composite forecast. They just add up each pixel and get a percentage of a chance of a supercell, which is really the building block of any serious severe weather. So June 25th through July 1st, it looks like that. And it's basically echoing what I just showed you, kind of sums that up a little bit. But then we go into the July 2nd through 8th period, a real backing off across the central part of the U.S., a slight uptick in activity in the east, but somewhat unfocused, and certainly Montana and southern Canada getting the brunt of that, which you would expect this time of year, and getting into summer more deeply now. We have the main severe weather threat with a weak jet stream troughing flow in the northwest, showing up in Wyoming, Montana, and of course parts of the Dakotas, and on up into Canada.